Who's here? Whoops. Just a minute. There we go. Rat Rock, a name I haven't seen or heard for a long time. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining in. The first one. And where's Rat Rock? California, right? It's hard for me to remember everybody. I remember. I know Kirk is in California. Damien is in Melbourne, Australia. Jersey. Yes, that's right, Jersey. All right, very good. Thank you for coming. Who else is here? There's a few people here. 4 people, it says. Can you hear me okay? Oh, very good. Nice to hear. My cat is coming to see me now. Hey, Dominic. Oh, I think I didn't know, or more likely, I didn't remember that Dominic was from Seattle. How are the dogs? The dogs are pretty good. They're outside on the balcony now. I just took them for a walk. I just got home about 10 or 15 minutes ago. I didn't want to have any problems with them while I was doing this. Sometimes Guy, the one who was Bobby Blotzer, sends his regards. Thank you, Dallas. Guy whimpers when he wants to go out, so I took him out. Hey, Mike Pratt. Mike, I just read, really, as I just got online for this, I read your comment about Buck Cherry, that you don't like Buck Cherry, and I agree, I don't like them either. And I guess what I meant, or what I thought you meant, or no, what I meant about those, the bands that you mentioned, Mike, Buck, Crash Diet, and I don't know if you say it Heat or HEAT. I hope people don't say HEAT. That takes all day. That they were, I thought that they were or are, kind of going back to the hair metal, image, conscious rock and roll, things like that. And I thought Buck Cherry was I don't know if they were the first to do it, kind of after that scene died. I guess it was around 99 or 2000 when that first Buck Cherry album came out. And I bought that album. I thought, all right, hair metal or rock, whatever you call that, is back. And I bought Buck Cherry, and I was severely disappointed. I thought that album sucked. I think I remember the song was Lit Up. Yes. Did I mention that? Sorry, let me get to Dominic in a minute and finish with Mike about Buck Cherry. Yeah, I just thought I was so excited to hear Buck Cherry's back. And then that other band, Veins of Jenna, I thought were in the same, putting Image. I don't know if Image first, but Image was a big thing. But no, that's what. Yeah, I think a lot of those bands lack the songs, and also just it's over. That I loved. Rat Rock knows. I think everybody knows how much I love Rat and Bullet Boys and all those bands. But it's over. I'm not interested in a revival of that. Yeah, for Dominic. Yeah, he is named after Guy Lafleur. Was that a guess, Dominic, or did I mention that at some point that he was named after Guy Lafleur? And actually, it's not so much that he was named after him. When I first kind of started to take care of him, um, he didn't have a name, so I was saying, "Hey, guy, come here, guy. Hey, nice guy, good guy." And then I thought he was kind of responding to Guy, and I thought, "Guy, that's a shitty, unoriginal name." So I just changed the pronunciation to Guy, from Guy to Guy. After, yes, Guy Lafleur, and the mother is ma mère, which is also French for my mother. It's actually his mother. Chris, hello. The Warning. Yes, I did see them open for Guns N' Roses too in Mexico City. No, yeah, but I didn't like them, and it was amazing how Chris is wondering if I've heard of the Mexican female rock band called The Warning, and yeah, I saw them open for Guns N' Roses once or twice. I can't remember, but Yeah, I didn't really like them, but it was amazing how big I guess they got after that. I remember after I saw them, I'd never heard of them. And then Rusty Staub, Le Grand Orange. That's too long to call him Le Grand Orange. Rusty would have been a good name. He's a little bit of a rusty color. Hey, there's Damien, the long gone loser rock show. Everybody should say hello to Damien, who you would never know his name because he has the longest name in YouTube history, the long gone loser rock show. He's Damien. He's in Melbourne, Australia. We went to El Chopo together some years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Um, yeah, the Warning. I mean, they didn't become like Guns N' Roses. It's not like they were headlining over Guns N' Roses the next year. But I'd never heard of them before. And then after I saw them open for Guns N' Roses, I saw them. I think that they also opened for Foo Fighters, um, and maybe some other big like national bands. I don't know, but yeah. So I have heard them. I've seen them, but yeah, don't care about the Warning. Uh, Damien likes them. Yeah, so they did open for Foo Fighters. So I saw them twice. I saw them with I think, or maybe I see them with Guns N' Roses? Did I must have. I saw them with Foo Fighters for sure. And I've seen Guns N' Roses like 5 times in the last few years. So I assume one of them was with the Warning opening. And I think they also recently toured with Scorpions a year ago, maybe. I think through the US. I think they, or I don't know if they toured with them or maybe they played some shows with them in Texas. Am I right? Dominic is asking about the posters behind me. Um, this is Cadaver from well, the band Cadaver is from Germany. This is from a show in Mexico. This one over here is Pearl Jam, not Ames, but I don't know if you know anything, Dom, about these posters. This is by a guy called Brad Clausen from Toronto in 2006. And there's this red one is Pearl Jam Cleveland. That's an Ames from Cleveland 2006. And this is another Cadaver Mexico from 2014. And you've probably seen the ones that are always behind me when I do the videos. Thunder Mother, that's who toured with the Scorpions. There's Guy barking. Everybody can probably hear him. Yeah, Thunder Mother. I guess they're all the same, right? All the female bands are the same. That's do I like Thunder Mother? No, no, don't like them. And as I realize as I get older, it's not so much that I don't like bands or albums or songs; it's that I just don't really have interest. Oh, I didn't know that Dom was a collector. I have a lot of Ames posters too. If you see behind me when I do the videos, um, the one that's I guess it's right above my head. It's in the top row middle. That was the first one I ever got. The anniversary, the 30th, 20th anniversary of that show was just in May. That was May 2003. That was Pearl Jam in Buffalo. And I've seen Pearl Jam 19 times, and I've got a poster at almost every show. Yeah, and their fans are unbelievably idiotic when it comes to collecting Pearl Jam posters. I feel like I'm not close enough to the mic. Just a minute. All right, there we go. I can hear myself better. I don't know if anybody else can hear me. All right, who else is here? And what, Chris? Where are you? Are you from Monterrey? Sound is better now. Okay, yeah, I moved it just a little bit closer. Every inch counts, as I've heard, is true. And by the way, can is there any interference? Because I have the I call this Mexican air conditioning. I hope is the sound not the fan isn't blowing into the mic. You know what? I've never seen Good Morning Vietnam. Even after my Vietnam trip, when I was really everything, my whole life revolved around Vietnam. I never went back and watched that movie. I should. And I hated Robin Williams when I was a kid, or I hated Mork and Mindy, and then I hated Robin Williams. I used to see him on Letterman and talk shows, and I just thought same with Jim Carrey, exactly same as Jim Carrey. I just thought they were too over the top. And although I did grow to like both of them, I like them both now. But yeah, Robin Williams used to drive me nuts. Ah, Chris lives in Oregon. I was wondering about your name. That's not a Mexicano name. Uh, yeah, look at that. He loves shows in Mexico way better than the US. I've talked about that before. How much better concerts are in Mexico than in the US or Canada. Especially the big shows. You go, maybe some of you seen my videos where I do the bootleg merch tours, and it's just cool, hanging out, and maybe, you run into friends or people have when I saw Rod Stewart in April, people gave me beers. Um, you look at the merch, and then you go to a concert in Canada or the US, and you go in and it starts, and you know, you go and the show ends and that's it. But in Mexico, there's just much more of a feeling. I think, especially if you're a foreigner, you really stand out, as I do, and as I assume Chris does too. And I think Mexicans really like it when they see people in their country. So they're. I mean, if I were just another Mexican, nobody would talk to me. But because I'm a fair-haired Canadian, people really talk to me. Yeah, no energy in the US. It's the same as Canada. It's probably the same through, you know, I think Europe is much better, but I guess Americans and Canadians, we've had concerts forever, and we're kind of accustomed to them, and we can afford them. But I think in Mexico, part of the reason, my theory has always been, if yeah, jaded. That's a good way to say it. Rat Rock says jaded. Um, Mexicans, for a lot of them, they might they might save their money, for forever to go to one concert. So it's a big deal for them. And concerts are still not a big thing here. Mexico City is one of the biggest cities in the world, and we don't get nearly as many concerts here as Toronto, or obviously not even anywhere as close to New York as New York or LA. Um, but I have a good friend who lives in Columbus, Ohio, and Columbus gets way more concerts than Mexico City. I guess for somewhat, and I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe it's money. Maybe promoters can't afford to bring some bands here. Um, I'm not sure how that works. Gringo with a mohawk. Not really a mohawk anymore. That's kind of a mohawk. The other side gets hidden by my long flowing golden locks. But yeah, I guess technically it is still a mohawk. Oh, now I messed it up. There we go. Mickey Finn from Jet Boy. He had the giant, enormous blonde mohawk. Never liked Jet Boy either. I was never into them. Yeah, you can't. Chris is saying that he met a girl and she assumed he was with the band. You can't believe how many times I've been asked that. Like I want to say it's at every show. Obviously, it's not at every show, but man, I've been asked. I don't know how many times. Are you with the band? Which sounds, kind of salacious or provocative. And maybe sometimes it is, but no, or people often it's because they want to ask me for a guitar pick. Um, One person had something that they wanted. I can't remember what concert it was. They had something they wanted to give to the band, and they thought I was with them, and I wasn't. Um, I'm not sure. Oh, and look at Dom asking about Lilia, not Lillian. She would get angry about that. She would never say it, but after dance, she would say, "How these fucking people don't. Nobody knows my name." I sent her a message an hour ago and told her that I was doing this. Her friend Cindy, who was actually my friend, Cindy and I worked together. We were teachers at the same school like 14 years ago, and then she became good friends with Lilia. She is over at Lilia's house now. Girls' night. They're playing board games or some kind of board games, probably in their bras and panties, I would assume, as women do. And she said if she's finished with her bra and panty board games, um, she will join if it's still ongoing. So if we can if we can extend it, maybe she'll come. Let me see. Chris said he was Blotzer, the drummer for Rat. Ha. Mike is asking, what do you teach? English. Obviously, that's the only thing I guess I'm semi-qualified to teach is English. Oh, strip down and have a tickle fight. Wow, Seinfeld quote, Seinfeld reference. Very nice. Very nice. Well done, Dominic. I'm learning a lot about you. Seinfeld fan, Pearl Jam fan, and poster collector. You're the best. Who can top that? Who can be cooler than Dominic? There's Guy barking again. There's four people walking past the front of the house. No, Dominic, I won't tell her. Yeah, I have seen Pearl Jam in Mexico City, which is kind of some of the way, some of the reason, partially why I live here. I saw them. They played here 3 nights in 2003 in Mexico City, 3 nights in the arena. And this is when I still lived in Toronto, and I flew down here. I already knew Lily at that point. We met in 2000. Um, so they played here in 2003, and I flew down here, and I saw all three shows, and then I've seen them. They played here again in 2005, and I didn't live here. I moved here in 2006, and then you know what sucks about that, man? I used to see them when they did that Canadian tour in 2005. I saw them 4 times. That was in like a week, 4 times in a week in 4 different cities. In 2003, I saw them in Mexico, Buffalo, and Toronto. 5 shows, 3 nights in Mexico, 1 night each in Toronto and Buffalo. In 2006, they played 2 nights in Toronto. I saw both of those. I also saw them in Cleveland and Detroit. And then since I've moved to Mexico, 17 years, they played here twice in 17 years. So that sucks. And I really hope that if they come again or when they come again, that they play at least 2 nights in the arena. Every time they come here, they came here in 2011 and 2015 or 16, I think. And it was in the stadium at Foro Sol. And I would much prefer, obviously, to see 2 nights in an arena rather than one night in a stadium. Um, Best way to learn Spanish, Chris asks. You're asking the wrong person. And then Radrock says, "Marry a Latina." Not in my experience. That just made me lazy. Um, because when I moved here, I didn't know any Spanish, and so obviously Lily was like my personal interpreter everywhere we went, which made me incredibly lazy. Plus, I didn't think I was going to live here for 17 years. I thought we would break up once she got to know me, uh, which would probably take a couple of months. But here I am 17 years later, and I have pretty elementary Spanish, enough to get by, let's say. Maybe a little bit higher than survival Spanish. And my cat is joining me now. Her name is not French. It's Betsy, after Betsy, the character from Taxi Driver, my favorite movie. She's playing board games. Yeah, maybe that's why we're not married anymore. Well, and also as I said, Cindy, I met Cindy at the school, and I taught in schools, and so my bosses were English. All my friends, um, most of my friends Eric, that I go hiking with. For anybody who watches my hiking videos, I also met him at the same school. Um, Not most, a lot of my friends I've met them because they were teachers. They're Americans, Canadians, British people, Brits, I guess you'd say. Um, so considering that I've lived in Mexico for 17 years, I've had I've lived a lot of it in English. Uh, will I ever move back to the Great White North? At some point, maybe, but it's really hard. You know, I'm 53, and to move to another country, even though it's my home country. First of all, I have nothing there. I don't have a house, a job, a car. Jose, I was gonna say Jose. Jose, is this Jose in New York, right? Jose, are you in New York? Jose Francis? I think I do remember that. New Jersey. Oh, another New Jersey. So we got two what's the demonym? Is it Jerseyans, Jerseyites? Um what was it? Oh yeah, about going back to Canada. Yeah, I don't have anything there. Um and also, when you live in a place for 17 years, it becomes your home. And also when I moved here, I brought 2 bags with me. That was it. And every time I've gone back to visit, I bring back more stuff. So I've slowly been accumulating my stuff here. And so, I moved here and I had 2 bags, pretty much of clothes and a bunch of CDs. And now I've got, a big television, I've got furniture, I've got a cat, I've got 4 guitars, I've got dishes and records, and you could even say 2 dogs now. So and also I'm like, so in a way I kind of feel stuck here, but in a way I think, oh, maybe that's not so bad. Um Chris is asking, do I follow Canadian pop culture? Trailer Park Boys, I'll tell you about Trailer Park Boys. I thought that show sucked when I first saw it when I lived in Canada, maybe in the early 2000s. I was watching something on what was the name of that station? A Canadian Showcase. It was called Showcase. Jose says hello to my cat, and there she is saying hello. Isn't that cute? Um, and I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of it before. I was just watching something else, and then Trailer Park Boys came on, or maybe I was flipping around. It came on. I thought, what is this shit? I didn't like. Is it like a? I didn't know if it was a documentary. I thought if this is a documentary, it's really, really, really bad. Now that if this is a real show, these guys are really bad actors because I don't know. And yeah, so I didn't really pay much attention to it. And then making another reference to the school where I used to teach, where I met Cindy and where I met my friend Eric. My friend Tom, that I go visit in Arizona. If anybody has followed any of my exploits in Arizona, I met him at the same school. And I guess around 2000, it was in 2009, I guess we met. And he was a Trailer Park Boys fan. And he asked me, so are you a Trailer Park Boys fan? I told him the same thing. And then I guess that kind of, I don't know, got me interested again. I started watching it. And yeah, it turns out that I love Trailer Park Boys. Incredibly funny show. Very, very good. Love it. But other than that, I never really like Canadian stuff too much. Um, like honestly, I've bought, let's say if I've bought 2,000 records or CDs in my life, I bet no more than 20 of them, maybe even 10. I don't know, not that many are Canadian. Um, 4 I Mother Earth, a couple of Rush, including like uh 2 that I bought last year, I think. Um, I've never bought a Triumph album, a few Tragically Hip albums. Brighton Rock, I hate Brighton Rock. We came to rock, rock. Hated that band. I saw their record at El Chopo when I was there a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, a couple of weeks ago, and then I saw it at the same guy selling it 6 months ago or something. But no Brighton Rock. Sven Galley, I love. You know what? I think I'm one of the. This sounds very arrogant to say this, but I think I'm one of the I've never seen anybody say that they like the second album, which is called In Wire, more than the debut. I feel like I'm the only one. I didn't really love the actually, I didn't even really like the debut. I got it, but I didn't never got into it that much. I thought it was just very generic. And then In Wire came out in 95, I think 94, 95. I think 95. Love that record. I've actually looked for it recently because I think I left a bunch of my CDs at home. I was actually gonna do it. I think it was just last week. I checked to see if I had the CD of it. I was gonna do an episode of I Want to Talk About This. I love that second Svengali album in Wire. The debut was just released on vinyl last week, I think. They're hawking it on their social media. Yeah, yeah, Dallas says that. It is. It's not about to be reissued. It is. They've been selling it. They were selling it at their shows. It's available on their website. Yeah. Jose says, yeah, Killer Dwarfs, Helix, Lillian Axe. No, Lillian Axe wasn't Canadian. I think Lillian Axe was from California, no? I'm sure I don't know if they're from California, but I'm almost sure they're not Canadian. Somebody check Google. Killer Dwarfs, never get into them. Same with Helix, Anvil, never got into them. I've never bought any records by any of those bands. I Mother Earth is my favorite Canadian band. I'm thinking. Lillian Axe was Louisiana. Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure where they're from, but yeah, I knew it wasn't. Um, I knew they weren't Canadian. Oh, maybe Jose is thinking of Kick Axe, not Lillian Axe, but Kick Axe. I love Kick Axe, and I think at some point I will do an episode of Kick Axe. Their great album Vices. I have that. I mean, this might be months down the road, or now that it's come to my attention, it could be tomorrow. Yeah, yeah, they should be called Lilia Axe. Everybody gets the name wrong. Um, yeah, Kick Axe Vices is a great album. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil the surprise for the 42 people who will watch it if I do a video of it. But yeah, and I saw them live. I saw them open for Scorpions, along with Helix and Quiet Riot. Open for Scorpions in Toronto, August 17th, 1984, on the Love at First Sting uh, tour. Uh, yeah, I did the Skid Row album a couple of months ago. I'm also they're the opposite for me of Svengali. I love the first one. I know everybody loves Slave to the Grind. I thought it was okay. I thought there were a couple of great songs. I love Get the Fuck Out. Riot Act is a great song. Monkey Business is pretty good. The title track is okay. But other than that, never really get into Slave to the Grind. If we keep talking about Lily, she'll show up. Yeah, was that the Beetlejuice that was like that? If you talked about him, he would come up. I've never seen that movie Beetlejuice. I know it exists. Um, Subhuman Beings. I've talked about this with Damien, the Long Gone Loser rock show. He was raving about the new Skid Row album. I know Subhuman Beings. Subhuman Race? No, it is Subhuman Beings. Sounds wrong. Subhuman Beings, is that right? Whatever it is, I've never heard a note from that album. Candyman, that's who it is. Yeah, when you say his name, he appears. That's right. Um, yeah, I never listened to a note of that. And Damien was saying last year how great the new Skid Row album is. And I'm just kind of over Skid Row. Yeah, it is Subhuman Race, right? Yeah, Skid Row is Sebastian Bach. Obviously, I've talked about this many times. Obviously, it's the singer that in most cases that defines the band. Although an exception, a big exception, some of you might know this, and I was talking about this with Dallas a couple of weeks ago, was Saigon Kick. I was a huge Saigon Kick, the first album, and Lizard. Fucking love both those albums. And then Water came out, and I found out that Matt was gone and Jason was singing. I thought, that's disappointing. And then I heard Water, and I love Water and Devil in the Details better than the debut and the Lizard. But I love Matt and Jason, but I prefer the two Jason albums over the two Matt albums. But love them. Oh, and speaking of that, you know what? When I was driving to the hike today with Eric, he always has the radio on. Sometimes he plays the Pixies or yeah, Siren Kick was a fucking awesome band. One of my favorites ever. Um, Sometimes he plays the Pixies or the Doors or something, but often he has the radio on. And does anybody remember that song? I don't want to be too close to the mic when I do this. I just died in your arms tonight. It must have been. Na, 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 na. and I Shazammed that song. It was Cutting Crew. I never would have remembered that, although I did remember when I saw the results for Cutting Crew. Yeah, Cutting Crew. Yep, yep. Oh, look at you guys. I knew it, but I there's no way I would have remembered it. And then the next song after I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight was how do we or how do I know when it's love? It's just some it's just that shitty Van Halen song. And I said, "Oh, this is Van Halen." And so we were listening to it and we were talking about Van Halen because Eric is from Belgium and he speaks Dutch. And he said that Van means from. So there's a town called Halen, or in Dutch, I just learned this today. It's called Halen. So Van Halen means from Halen, the town. So, like for example, my name would be Dan Van Cuernavaca because I'm from where I live in Cuernavaca. So we were talking about Van Halen. Then the song ended, and I said to Eric, I said, that song fucking sucks. And he said, yeah, he said, I thought so too, but I didn't want to say anything because he said, I know you like Van Halen. So he said, yeah, I thought that song was even worse than Cutting Crew. But yeah, that Van Halen song sucks. And I know Mike is still here. Oh, okay. Mike is talking about the new Skid Row too. Mike loves Sammy Hagar, and for me, when Sammy Hagar joined, oof. Oh, commercial on the live chat. Oh, I had no idea. I have no control over that. Yeah. So yeah, Sammy Hagar, Van Halen. I talked about that when I went through their discography in 2020. I think I don't know. Yeah, no, no. Okay, now Chris is saying Van Halen's the exception. AC/DC is an exception for sure. I think, and I've talked about this recently. Bon Scott and Brian Johnson, I like them both. Love them both, I would say. Um, they had some good songs. Like there's some good stuff, but overall, I talked about this when I did their discography. Their albums went from being, um, 32 to 35 minutes long to being 55 minutes long. And they went from having songs about take your whiskey home and she looks so fucking good, so sexy and so frail. They went from that to how do I know when it's love? And why can't this be love? And this is what dreams are made of. That just really that galled me. Yeah, Dallas. I was talking with Dallas sometime. I talk with him regularly, and he loves Fly in the Wall, and I do not. It's not, and it's maybe even not so bad, but I was just over them by the time Fly in the Wall came out. Oh, Damien loves Hagar too. Yeah, David Lee Roth is for me. Ain't Talking About Love. That's my favorite from the debut. That one or Feel Your Love Tonight. But I would say Ain't Talking About Love is my favorite. That end part, hey, 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 it just almost still gives me chills. Amazing. Um, the opening riff on Sink the Pink is that. Is that the one? Or is that Shake Your Foundations? Which song am I singing? Ah, there's Enrique. Now, is this Enrique? No, I'm thinking of Ernesto White. Enrique. Hello, Enrique. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Yeah, Beautiful Girls. From the second album. Last song, right? Beautiful Girls is the last song. Got my toes in the hand, got my toes in the sand, got a drink in my hand, got my toes in the sand. And all I need is a beautiful girl. Yeah, that's a great one. Spoiler alert, I'll be doing Van Halen 2 pretty shortly, I think. It'll be coming up. I'm just not sure when I have it. I hope I have it. It's still packed up. I might be in for a surprise when I open it. It's Shake Your Foundations. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, yeah. That song is okay, I guess. That one and Sink the Pink. Those are really the only two that I really know. Um, Yeah, Sammy had more talent. He could play guitar. I guess Dave played guitar too, but Dave never played it live. Um, yeah, and I guess talent doesn't always mean what it should. Yeah, attitude and looks, personality, stage presence. That, especially at that point, that was far more important than anything Sammy Hagar had. Did I get any more copies of the top this week? No, not yet, but it's only Monday. So I still have a big window for that to happen. Yeah, I know the Van Hagar defenders or apologists or whatever you want to call them. They're always saying, "Well, they had their only number one record with Sammy." Yeah, that's true, but I don't think even if people like Sammy Hagar better, the Van Halen legacy is Dave Lee Roth. That's a fact. That's not my opinion. It's a fact. People associate David Lee Roth with Van Halen much more than they associate Sammy Hagar. I know they had much more success. No, not much more on a different level. They had more success with Sammy than Dave. But um, yeah, everyone wanted to be Dave. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a good way to say it too. Yeah, nobody ever aspired to look like Sammy Hagar. Nobody ever said, "I want curly red hair." Yankee Rose, Dallas. Go ahead, Dallas. Talk about it. Yankee Rose. Sammy Hagar got rich from selling that liquor. He sold Cabo Wabo for what was that, a couple $100 million or something, and he was already, a, a mm, God. What's in between? Goes from millionaire to multimillionaire to billionaire. There's nothing in between. What do you call somebody who's worth like 300 million? What's he called? Yeah, eat 'em and smile. I was texting with Dallas today, and he sent me a quick little video clip, and Shy Boy was playing in the background from Eat 'em and Smile. Can anybody hear the thunder here? I might have to go out if it starts to rain. I have to go out and uh, shelter the dogs. Yeah, great solo band. I guess in terms of I guess just talent. I who was more well renowned than Billy Sheehan and Steve Vai on their yeah, I have been thunderstruck. Yeah, Steve Vai and Billy Sheehan were, I guess at that point, considered the best at their instruments, and then Greg Bissonette, who I'd never heard of before, he's played with Ringo Starr for quite some time now. Greg Bissonette. I have no doubt that Sammy's a nice guy. He seems like a very nice guy. Um, a little bit delusional, maybe. He's claimed sometimes he has he hasn't opened for anybody since like 1975 or something, and he has. Um, but yeah, he does seem like a pretty nice guy. Oh, hello! I missed a couple of people here. How do I say this name? Huche? I don't see. I don't know if it's a Spanish name, Mexican name. Huche Juchi 07. Rebel Cars. Oh, that's what dreams are made of. It's catchy. I don't know, man. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. So I have a weird thing with Sammy Hagar, depending on what day you catch me on. I love Summer Nights and Good Enough and Get Up. I thought Get Up was a little bit too forced, almost like a Hot for Teacher or Loss of Control or something like that. But yeah, for me, they had their moments with Sammy Hagar, but overall, if it were a take 'em or leave 'em thing, I would leave him. I never got into Montrose. I've heard maybe two Montrose songs in my life. Yeah, Best of Both Worlds. I like that one too. Pound Cake. Pound Cake is okay too. Best of Both Worlds is very good. I like that song. He does talk about Van Halen a lot. Van Halen a lot. Although to be fair, and I don't want to defend the guy, but I mean, if people ask him about Van Halen, what is he supposed to do? But yeah, he does talk about Van Halen a lot. Same with Sebastian Bach talks about Skid Row a lot, and who pick anybody. What's his name? Dave Evans, I guess, probably talks about AC/DC a lot. Mustaine, oh, he's the best slash worst example of somebody who talks way too much about his former band. You don't hear maybe one guy who's not like that. You never hear Dave Lombardo talk about Slayer. Maybe in a good way. He has good things to say, but he doesn't seem obsessed with Slayer. Enough's enough. There was all like a problem with it was the guy's name Donnie V and Chips Enough. They had a falling out years and years ago, or Johnny Monaco, or I remember the names. I had that first Enough's Enough album with Hot Little Summer Girl and My Michelle and or Fly High Michelle, New Thing. Other than that, other than those three songs, I don't remember it. Never get into that album. Just remember those three songs. Um, yeah, a lot of their hits were covers. Well, what? Pretty Woman. Um, you Really Got Me. You're No Good was a cover, although it wasn't a hit. Oh, there's the big thunder. Um, what else? What else did Van Halen? I mean, yeah, they did a lot of covers, but what else were hits, Mike? You Really Got Me and Pretty Woman. Was that it? Oh, Dancing in the Streets. I don't know if I would call that a hit. I don't think they did a video for it. Was it? I don't even know if I remember that being played on the radio. Yeah, they did play a lot of covers. I talked about this one. I talked about Diver Down a couple of weeks ago. I Yeah, covers are very divisive. A lot of people love them or hate them. Pearl Jam does more covers than anybody, at least live. They haven't recorded too many covers, but if Pearl Jam plays 30 songs, 35 songs in a night, which they used to do regularly, six or seven of them might be covers. Maybe there was a video for Dancing in the Streets. Joan Jett